Hey everybody, Christopher here, and I hope at the time of this recording my audio is better than the last video. I did have a little bit of mic trouble. I think I fixed it, but I'm not one to re-record these things, so let's just keep our fingers crossed that the audio is good. So the last video we got to this point, we got the AI to animate, and then we brought it into After Effects and did a little bit of motion tracking and compositing. I want to pick up a little bit on the details of this compositing, as well as to create a little more landscape. I want to show you how to kind of get, in filmmaking, you get a lot of shot, reverse shot. And so I'm going to show you how I took a single image and then turned it into a fully realized terrain that we can get different shots out of, so that we can do things like have a director's line or a camera line. We'll talk a little bit about that. And but anyway, before we get started, I just want to encourage you again to subscribe to the Sci-Exploitation YouTube channel, where there will be more tutorials like this, as well as behind the scenes, general behind the scenes clips, and eventually the first installment of Escape from Planet Omega 12. But before it's there, it will be on the Christopher Moonlight Productions Substack, where you will get exclusive content as well as early access to these tutorials. So I hope you'll join me there, as well as the Christopher Moonlight Productions YouTube channel. But let's get into it. By the way, before we really get into this, what I'm going to do is this is at a third. I'm going to make this full quality, which will take a few moments for it to fully preview so we can talk in depth. But I just want to say, if you're a filmmaker and you're using AI, you're probably experiencing certain sections of the internet that are always going to tell you that you're talentless garbage for using AI. I find these tools to be exceedingly helpful when it comes to realizing your vision. Now, I am not overly concerned about whether one person thinks I'm an artist or another person thinks I'm not an artist. I'm a storyteller and a filmmaker. I'm a producer. Art is a means for me to realize my vision. Now, if you truly care about art for art's sake and you don't want to use AI, then AI shouldn't make a lick of difference to you. Because if you're an artistic purist, you're not doing it for the money. What we are experiencing now is essentially entertainment is creativity and pragmatic business practices. We have to be able to create these things in a timely manner. We have to be able to make sure that we get the best quality in an efficient amount of time, and that we don't exceed a budget, because if you're not making money in an industry as an artist, then you don't have the means to create and realize your vision anyway. There are a lot of people that don't understand this. Most of them have just been propagandized. I hate to paint with a broad brush here, but a lot of people are they're either very limited vision thinkers or they're not thinking at all. They have been conditioned to get angry about things that they know nothing about. Again, if they were art purists, they would be going to art galleries and supporting people that paint by hand there. They'd be going to theaters and supporting people who stand on a stage and give performances. But all they know is what's in front of their screen and what their screen is telling them without thinking about it. By the way, I do go to plays and musicals, and I do go to art galleries, and I love hand-drawn art. You may also know that I'm a big advocate of practical effects in movies. Just because AI has come along and is helping me to build my worlds, it doesn't mean that I want everything to be AI. It means that I have a new tool, but I still love and appreciate stop motion, practical effects, hand-drawn animation. So, the people who are really threatened by AI and want to encourage others to mindlessly attack you are doing so not because they are concerned about art, but they are concerned about their place in the market. But I have been making art for a very long time. I have worked in practical effects. I've worked in galleries. I've worked in comic books. I've done a lot of hand drawn art, digital effects, and I'm a big fan of David Lynch. Oh, that's another thing. People are attacking me, going, David Lynch would have hated your guts. I'm like, you know nothing about David Lynch, and you know nothing about me. David Lynch actually is in a documentary hosted by Keanu Reeves called Side by Side, where he was very adamant about embracing new technologies to help him realize his vision when he didn't have the money to do it before. I love there's a scene in it, and you can watch this movie on demand. Keanu Reeves is like, so, David, are you done with film? And David Lynch goes, don't quote me on this, Keanu, but I think I am. When you're running film through the camera, as soon as that camera goes, it's like money running through the camera. David Lynch also embraced computer technology in Twin Peaks: The Return, the CGI in there. And there's also some stuff I think he did on his own using After Effects. He's always embraced technology, so don't let people tell you that someone like David Lynch would be mad about AI. As far as I know, he's never commented on it, but he comments on art and creativity. One of the arguments against AI and creativity is like, AI can't be creative. It's like, well, your paintbrush can't be creative. You're the one that picks it up and uses it. Creativity, as far as I can determine, is three things working together. One is very much a David Lynch thing, but I'll hold off on that. The first thing is what we have trained AI to do, which is mix and match. If you can identify something, then you can learn to recreate it. That's what being an artist drawing from life is. We learn to identify objects, and we learn to be able to draw them so we can recall them and draw our own versions of them. And then we can mix and match. If you can draw a bus and you know the color purple and you know what an animal's fur is, you could conceivably paint a picture of a purple furry bus, as surrealist as that is. That's why so much of AI comes off as surrealist, because it's this great way of, like, it knows to identify and recreate things, and it can mix and match them per your instructions. So that's the first part of creativity. And, that's where most of the heavy lifting is for a creative person. Now, like a director doesn't learn how to do every last job on a movie set. He should know a little bit about all of them, but at the same time, he's going to rely on other people who have honed those skills to get him what he wants. Now we have a device that frees up independent filmmakers who couldn't afford those experts to have something of that in their computer. So that's the first part. The second part is the ability, and David Lynch would say this, you have to have time to daydream. And that's the next part of creativity. Now that you can identify things and mix and match them and create visual ideas, where do you go with them? You daydream. You kind of let these ideas kind of wander through your mind and come to life in your imagination. And then the third thing is emotion. So, you imagine these things, and then you think, if I was a character in a situation with these things, how would I react? And we understand how we react because we're emotional beings, and we act emotionally. We try to apply some logic to it, and daydreaming helps with that. But that's how stories are formed, in my estimation. And I'm a pretty good storyteller myself. Like I said, I've been at this a long time, but I've gone on enough about it. These are just my ideas about what creativity truly is and why you shouldn't let non-thinking NPC types get you down about using wonderful tools like AI. So anyway, with that, let's get to it. And I'll timestamp this so you could skip that speech if you want. Should have said that at the beginning. All right, so in our last tutorial, we composited this together. But you're going to notice that there are certain things that we need to pay attention to, such as this hard line here, let's play this. We kind of got this hard line here. We want to break that up. And another thing I want to point out is look at the darkest areas in our AI video. They're a bit washed out. I think the strongest blacks are about here. But in our background, these blacks are a lot stronger. Now, this is actually the opposite of how things work in compositing. Usually the further something back gets, the further back something gets, the more washed out the darks are going to be. So what we want to do is we actually want to, let's stop this for a second. We want to go into our video comp. That's, which layer is that? Here we go. I'm going to go in here and we're just going to add a curve to this. So let's go into effects and where's color? It's right in front of my face. All right, let's just go with a simple curve and we're going to drag that down, but we're also going to bring up this corner here, and it's intensifying the color a little bit too much. I think it's a little too dark. Let's bring that back down there. So now this looks darker, and this isn't neat. This is like we're looking out from a dark cove. Now we can play with this. We could probably lighten it up. Usually I should just go ahead and use the Lumetri color because it's got all this stuff, but I already put in a curve. So let's go with hue saturation, and let's just we could bump the saturation all the way down to black and white, but we don't want that. We just want to take it down a little bit so it's not too oversaturated. I know it looks great saturated like that, and maybe I'll play around with it some more and find a good balance. But for now, I think we're just going to go with that. And like I said before, in this background, let's see, what did we add? We added a little bit of a blur back here. Now, this hard edge here is still bugging me. Now, we have some mist in here, you'll notice. And it's, of course, now that I've added some color correction to it, it's got a re-render. But we've got this hard curve here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with, I have gotten these stock elements of smoke. And just click in one of these. And you can find these online. You can pay a little money and get the license to use these elements here. Now, smoke is obviously black and sooty looking rather than the mist that I want. But I'm going to show you, like I said, we just got to use our imaginations. You always have to find, you get these elements, you got to push them to be more than they're originally meant to be. So let's go in here. We got this smoke element. So when we play it, let me just cut it down to a third so we don't have as much render time. So obviously we've got this white background and we've got this smoke here. We don't want that. So let's just, first of all, let's kind of position it where we want it. I'm going to rotate it like that. And I'm going to bring it down. Oh, and let's parent it to that null like we did in the last tutorial. So when it plays, it moves with the camera track like that. So nice. Now it's coming out from behind here. But we got to do a couple of things to make it look like mist rather than smoke. So the number one thing we have to do is let's click into it. We're going to go into effect and we're going to go into channel and we're going to go into invert. Now it looks more like mist. And now I want to just position it a little bit more over here. Oh, nope. Actually, you can't do that. Let's scale it up a little bit more. So we have a little more room to play. Now we can position it. So, oops. So now we've got mist rising from here, and that helps to break things up a little bit. But we still got this black background. So we're just going to go and click into the toggle switches here, and we can go into blend modes, and let's try, What happens if we do a screen? There we go. So now the black has disappeared, but we still have the fog, and that fog helps to break up the shape there. So let's get the full view. All right. Nice. So now we've got mist rising off of here, and it fits with mist over here. Let's switch that to full view. So now we've intensified the area here and here. Let me make this a bit bigger, if I can. So we've intensified the values here. We've got darker darks than we do out here. And we've got a bit more rich color. And then as we go back, we've got a little bit of blurring, and it's a little different. And now we've broken up this space here with some haze. Now I could go in, what I might do is I might experiment with duplicating that haze, or maybe adding a second layer and doing a little masking so it's still a little thicker here. But you want to be careful that you don't make it so hazy that it doesn't match this. I think for a quick shot, what you're going to find is that the audience is never going to notice, but it just helps to break up that space so it doesn't look too what's the word for it? The different elements don't look like they don't belong together. So now we've got everything moving with a nice camera movement, nice camera shake. The water's moving, the mist is rising, the bird is flying by. It's beautiful. I absolutely love it. I'm going to work on it a bit more, but for now, we're going to leave that because I want to talk a little bit more about some other environmental things that you can do. So we're going to go into a different comp. I think, is this it? Hopefully that's it. And we're also going to talk about, yes. So we have this shot, another shot that I animated using, I think I used Kailua for this. Yes, I did. And I'll tell you a little bit about that. So I had gone into Kailua, and I had gotten in the last tutorial different animations. In this one, I wanted shot, reverse shot. You know, it's no good to me if I've just got one shot and Tara's here. You know, if something happens over here and we want her reaction, we need to see what's behind her. But not only that, there are all these different, while the camera swings along the way, the AI gives me these different shots that they don't necessarily have to be the reverse shots. They can just be different parts of the swamp. So she can travel through the swamp and we have a consistent look. I don't have to go and worry that I'm not going to be able to recreate the look of this in another generation. Midjourney will give you variations, but they're usually hard to control. So this gives us a little bit of a sense of the terrain. So what I did was, like in previous tutorials, I created a PNG sequence. And in this case, I just went ahead and upscaled a couple of different, let's see. I upscaled a couple of frames from here so I didn't have to take up a bunch of space on my hard drive with everything upscaled, because we're not trying to upscale this to have the swing around. I just want different shots. And if I want to take these and put them back into Kling or Kailua and get these animated as well, I can get even more angles and shots of different parts of the swamp and have it be consistent and have it be animated. But for now, what I want to talk about is there's a problem with this. In the original landing swamp, which is, let's see, let's grab a good video like this. You know, we've got all this rocky terrain here, all these different rocks and shapes, and this planet in the sky, which we don't have in any of this. It's pretty flat swamp. I want rocks. I also want alien trees, because there's shots in the script that are going to have alien trees and creatures in those trees. So I need to be able to add to this. So I won't be using this finished shot, but I will be animating what I do once I bring it into Photoshop. And what I did here was I just created, I took the layer. What I did was I separated the sky from this mist, and I'm gonna let this mist be here so I don't have to spend as much time masking everything out. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to take, oh, and here's some other examples. So this is something that I masked out as well for animation. And we'll get to that because I don't want to get too sidetracked. But here I wanted some of those rocks. And what I wanted was I wanted a reverse shot of this. So what I did was I took an image of these, and I'm going to show you how to do this. Like this rock back here, for example. I want to see the backside of all these, and I want to see the backside of this for the reverse shot. So what I do is I make PNGs with the alpha channel that has just that area. And I go ahead and I drop it into this trellis here, which there is a hugging face for. And hopefully it works today. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, depending on how the servers are. But I'll just go ahead and drop this image in here. And I'll let it upload. And then I'll come up essentially with a 3D model. So in this case, let's see. The 3D model. Okay, so this image uploaded, and I'm just going to hit generate and see if we can get its interpretation of a 3D model out of it. In the meantime, so what I did was I got a generation of the 3D model, and then I imported that generation into here so I could get different angles of it with a green background, or create a PNG with an alpha background. But there's the back of it. There's the front. We recognize it. And, it's very low poly. It's not perfect. But then what I do is I go ahead and I take that. Oh, and look at this. It's created a low poly thing for us. Bit unique. I'm not sure what to make of that. Sometimes the results are good and sometimes they aren't. But, yeah, what the heck. Let's extract the GBL file. And while we're doing that, just want to show you that I took a PNG snapshot of the low poly model and I used Kriya to enhance it. So now when I go into Photoshop, I have an enhancement that I can just select all and copy. And then I can come in and I can paste it behind here. And let's just size it a little bit so it's not too crazy big. We want the audience to be able to identify it. Now, I'll go ahead and do a bit more Photoshop work on this, but in the meantime, let's see. That makes sense about there, and I can add another object there with the 3D model I'm generating. And we'll just take the magic wand and make a selection and delete it. And there we go. Now I have, this is crude. It needs cleaning up. But now I've got that object behind there. And, like I said, it needs some cleaning up and it's not the best. But if you do a shot of Tara maybe walking out of here, in this area, and then do another shot, the audience sees that what she landed in is behind her. So now they have a sense of geography. And then, like I said, once we clean this up and give it a sky that it's rising from behind it, you can see there's still green spots here and me cleaning up. But then we can put that back into Kling or Hylua and we can animate it again. So we've got rippling water. So this is the creative part. When people say AI can't be creative, it's like, no, but it can help you visualize your creativity with, a fraction of the time. As far as talent goes, well, who cares, right? If you are a very talented artist and you paint a beautiful picture or put on a beautiful play, people are going to appreciate it whether AI exists or not. And they will applaud that talent. They will applaud your ability to do that beyond other people's ability to do it. But that doesn't mean that your ideas, your ability to tell stories and engage people, that's talent too. it's not all depending on what you can do with your hands. People don't look at a ditch that's been dug by a tractor or a trencher and say like, oh, you used a machine to do that. That ditch isn't worth anything. The people that do it with a shovel, and it's like, before then, it's like, what are you going to say? Like, the shovel, like, you did it with a shovel, you should have done it with your hands. These are ridiculous arguments. Tell these people to shut up. They don't know what they're talking about. The people who you entertain, the people who see the work that you do using whatever tools you want, are the ones that, they show up. They don't care how you did it. They just want to be entertained, and they want to see something that they can relate to and understand. And if you do well, no matter what the tools, no matter how hard you worked or didn't work to achieve it, if you did something good, they will appreciate it. So that's pretty much all I have to show in this tutorial. And should I even call these tutorials? Because, it's like, I'm taking you through my process. These are very, very arbitrary things that I do to get my results, because I've been doing this for a long time. They're not I don't want you to follow me step by step and do the exact same thing. I want you to take what I do and find in you how you would take those methods and modify them for your vision. So like I said, we've got this back here. We've got 3D models. We've got, what is this even? We've got these different shots here. This is the way to get what's in your mind out on the screen in front of people. For me, Escape from Planet Omega 12 is a throwback to the sci-fi I loved as a kid, from Forbidden Planet, Robinson Crusoe on Mars, Star Wars, Star Trek, Battle Beyond the Stars, Aliens, but also sword and sorcery stuff, Barbarian, the Fire and Ice, all that sort of thing. It's also a story of my wife. Tara is a character that reflects my wife, and her companion Blob, who is imitation of her husband Brio. I feel like that's sort of a stand-in for me. And these characters, they're not autobiographical, obviously, but they're metaphors. Them living on this planet, being marooned on this planet, trying to survive, is what I think every married couple goes through. We are strangers on Earth. Earth is almost an alien planet to us when you think about it. So this is a fun way of creating an adventure that people can relate to on a human level, but also experience all these amazing creatures. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I do hope that you will follow me on this Substack, and there's links to other social media, my Civet AI page, and check out these things like Nim and Vigil, which I've covered in other tutorials, and Kriya, and and again, the Sci-Exploitation channel. Oh, by the way, one last thing, just on the Christopher Moonlight production channel. If you don't believe me about art, and you don't believe that I was an artist before AI existed and that I didn't have talent, please check out many of the tutorials on the Christopher Moonlight production page, where I create practical effects. I've done movies like The Quantum Terror, which is available on Tubi, Amazon Prime, and Apple TV. No AI there. It was just me and practical effects and some post-production stuff in After Effects and Adobe Photoshop and Premiere. I've been doing this a long time, and I do actually have some artistic knowledge and talent. So I'm not using these tools because I don't. I'm using these tools because I do believe they can enhance your creativity. And I'm looking forward to seeing what other people create, and I hope you're looking forward to Escape from Planet Omega 12. So thank you for watching. I hope I didn't forget anything. I probably did, but I will be back with more tutorials quite soon. Take care.